We would love to talk about relationships because there are lots of challenges in 2025. First of all, if you are a Christian and you're in the dating scene, it can be difficult. And if you're married and have been for some time, there are challenges to keeping it fresh. So we thought we'd get in one of the experts, Wynand Jacobs from Family Life, to talk more about this. Well, good morning, Wynand. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Kat. Great to be here.
So, Wynand, I thought I'd start with a question around dating, but with an age group particularly in mind, because I know with our Rhema listeners right now, they're mostly past the teenage angsty years of dating relationships. But particularly, say, if you're in your 30s and into your 40s as a single and dating within, say, church culture, what are some of the challenges that you've observed people have to navigate?
Oh, mate, this is so challenging actually, especially in the church and Christian culture, because we have so many different philosophies and ideas just being thrown at us, and we have a culture in the world that has become extremely promiscuous. We have a culture that has actually just warped the whole idea of what relationships and what marriage is supposed to be all about. And the one word I actually think describes this best is the word performance. Okay, so if you think about dating, especially in what we see on television, and well, I'm just going to bring this in here, but pornography has just really ruined relationships and ruined the way so many people actually engage. And I think a lot of people, majority, the studies are sort of out there, a majority of people have engaged in that in some way. And unfortunately, it just warps the way we think about relationships. So again, I said performance. So I think a lot of people think about relationships, or if you're not in a committed relationship yet, but maybe looking for one, or you're in a somewhat committed relationship, but you're considering marriage, the questions I'm asking in the back of my mind is all about how this person is performing, how they're ticking all my boxes. Whereas if you think at love and relationships from God's perspective, it's actually all about acceptance and bonding and if I can use the word grace, So yeah, I mean, we can unpack that a bit more,
Wow.
but I would just say the challenge is we live in a world that is all based around performance and then consumerism. Okay, I'll just touch on that one a little bit. I can go onto Amazon. I can, Amazon or Mighty Ape or whatever you use to do your online shopping. I can compare something I want to buy on different sites within a matter of minutes, and I can just buy it. It can be delivered at my door. If I don't like it, I send it back. It's like everything in life comes with a money back, price match guarantee. Hey, but guess what? One day, I tried giving my wife back to my father-in-law, and he says, "No, I'm not taking her back."
Well, you make a really good point because people don't operate like that. You can't just give people back. And unfortunately, like you say, we live in a world where society is all about performance and that question, what am I getting from this person, or what can this person do for me? And so you're lining people up, and online dating, things like Tinder and stuff, is very much like that. Like you're lining people up and you're swiping them away because this person can't offer you this thing and this thing and this thing. And so you are really comparing the products rather than actually investing in relational connection and seeking God's wisdom over it, right? So I can imagine it must be a really difficult time for people out there right now. So what would your one tip be? Like in a nutshell, if someone's in that place, what would you say to them?
Look, I think the foundation of a healthy marriage is a healthy person. So we often think that this other person, if I can just find the right person, they're going to complete me, and there's an essence of being completed and complemented. I think I prefer the word complement rather than complete. There is an aspect of that in marriage. I mean, when God created Adam and he created everything else, and he basically said it is not good for man to be alone. And that's why he created Eve, a suitable helpmeet. Now, that word helpmeet isn't subordinate. Actually, it's a very strong word in the original language that can be translated as savior, equal to. So
Wow.
that's another conversation. But this idea that actually we are designed to be together and to be compatible, but I guess that's also a loaded word because people leave their marriages and with the lie that they think they're not compatible. Well, that's just a lie. We are somewhat incompatible, but that's where our love grows for one another. So, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rabbit trail here, but there's so many myths about marriage and about relationships that we actually need to untangle. But the great thing, and this is one of my favorite quotes in the dating single space, is, are you becoming the person you're looking for is looking for?
Nice.
That's a great
That's
question
great.
to
Yeah,
kind
well,
of park on this.
Let's assume then that you have found that person, right? So for those who are married, and again, we are on Valentine's Day. We kind of made the comment that for some, or for many maybe, they don't celebrate quote unquote Valentine's Day in particular. But what about those things we can do to keep our marriages fresh and engage with one another? What's one thing that we can do?
Again, I'm going to just touch on that question with just a statement to say, I used to think marriage was going to bring out the best in me. And I actually learned it brought out the worst in me. Okay, let me explain. You get this person, you say, I've got this person, I really like them. And then things happen, like we push each other's buttons and we trigger each other. And the pain that I've not dealt with in my life, my own injuries, my own traumas that I haven't dealt with, actually has a way of coming out in this intimate relationship, right? And so when we think about being romantic, we often fall back into this performance cycle. And even your question was around, what can I do? Okay, so, and I'm not judging that question. We all want to know what we can do to make things better. But I want to suggest that it's actually not as complicated as you may think. It's not the romantic flowers and the candlelights. Those are good too. They set a mood for something. And I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm saying what we're really after in marriage and committed relationship is what we call attachment and bonding. And the best way to bond with someone is to be fully present with them, serving their needs for connection and attachment and presence and safety. So practically, what does that look like? I guess it's been on, I think it was written, could be 20 years ago. I might have my numbers wrong here. But the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, was just a major hit in the relationship space. It's been on the top seller list for decades, literally. And it's because I think it just simply breaks down the 5 different categories in how people receive and give love. And so the reason I mention that is I can be tempted to say, hey, do this thing. This is a great way to keep the spark alive in your marriage. But that's going to be different for different people.
Sure, yeah.
Best way to keep the spark alive in your marriage is to find out what fills your spouse's love tank. What are their needs right now? Am I listening to emotionally connect with them? And then, not telling them how their emotions are invalid, but actually just being with them in that space and filling up their tank. So it's different for different people, but the best way you can actually connect and bond and attach more deeply to one another is just to be present and be interested and ask, what it is that they enjoy about you two being together.
Being present. I like that. Rather than a whole bunch of presents on Valentine's Day,
Nice.
why not take a moment to be truly present and attend
But don't
to the
forget the
needs of
presents,
your
though.
partner? Well, I'm not saying don't do it, but really make a moment to be present. Well, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Wynand Jacobs, for joining us today. And if people would like more information or to reach out or to find out about your weekend to remember, where can they go?
Just familylife.nz, and starting today, we just actually have a flash sale for this weekend where people can get 50% off for the weekend to remember. We don't always run sales on these things, so I'd suggest if you're interested, check out familylife.nz, weekend to remember.
Brilliant. Wynand, thank you again for joining us this morning.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next video.
We'll see you in the next one.